A warm welcome back to your latest industry recap. Some fantastic news at Boeing, Thai Airways in desperate need of new planes, and KLM A350 news. Want to begin with the American plane maker, which delivered 55 aircraft in September, meaning some 440 aircraft were handed over in the first 9 months of this calendar year. These figures are a considerable development for the manufacturer, with all signs pointing to this being the best year for output since 2018. Right before the business essentially collapsed into a state that it has been attempting to recover from ever since. Boeing was able to deliver primarily 737 MAX jets during the month, with 40 of the 55 units being for aircraft in this series. Ryanair led the way, taking on 10 new MAX planes during the month, a feat that it itself hasn't achieved in some time and was very pleased about. For a budget carrier like Ryanair that relies so heavily on the 737 product, the late delivery of jets has had an impact on its operations. Acquiring 10 in such short succession helps give the budget European carrier the hope that it will have the capacity that it requires for the summer 2026 schedule. Boeing's 444 deliveries, more importantly, is just 67 shy of Airbus in the same period, which had shipped off 507 to customers around the world in the first 9 months. This competing manufacturer we know has struggled with its fair share of obstacles this year and in the years prior, not to the same extent of Boeing, but the two being a little bit closer together is actually encouraging for both as they look to push each other in a positive manner moving forward. For 2025 at Boeing, it's been all about rebuilding, taking it one step at a time and really ensuring that there are no quality slip-ups that would prevent the FAA from greenlighting future production increases. These increases are not just directly tied to the eventual ramp-up of monthly deliveries, but more importantly to its finances. The remaining 3 months of this year for Boeing, now we're really talking just 2 months, is really more important than the previous 9. This is the perfect time frame to lay the foundation for an even better 2026, when further production increases for its popular single-aisle 737 MAX jet are expected to be approved. Over to the next story, where Thai Airways' pursuit of acquiring new aircraft continues to throw its curveballs, and the airline is becoming increasingly more desperate by the day. The Nation Thailand reporting the airline will seek to obtain board approval for the acquisition of up to 10 wide-body aircraft urgently on a lease. The move from the flag carrier follows pretty persistent struggles in the acquisition of these new planes, alongside other lease agreements falling through, leaving the company without the desired capacity. A move to acquire more aircraft follows a continued push as well to replace previously retired ones. The new jets are to be critical in allowing the airline to move ahead with growth objectives, which include renewing the fleet. 9 retired aircraft mean that 8 to 10 new planes must come in, as confirmed by the Chief Executive Officer of Thai Airways. Unfortunately, the process of acquiring these planes, however, has not been smooth sailing. Deals for 777s and 787s, which were to be acquired on a lease, reportedly fell through, and this has left Thai Airways scrambling, and it now is in a position where it's struggling to find a solution for its capacity shortages. As more airlines struggle to combat new delivery delays, they are turning towards the leasing market, where leading aircraft lessors are tasked with what is becoming an increasingly harder job of answering these calls. While aircraft lessors do have solid backlogs of expected new commercial aircraft from the likes of Airbus and Boeing, and therefore have deliveries planned over an extended period, just because they are a lessor and not a dedicated airline does not mean they are also not feeling the crunch from those supply chain issues across recent years. Similar to airlines, they're at the mercy of aircraft manufacturers, and whatever struggles the manufacturers are having are then pushed onto the lessors who are trying to provide for the airlines. That is why in the past, when I've so often discussed those supply chain issues and the impact at Boeing, I like to make mention of the knock-on effect, as it is felt more broadly than just the manufacturer. For Thai Airways, the persistent challenges with new planes have put added pressure on them as a business. This talk of them scrambling for new aircraft isn't fresh. In August, they said the very same thing, as they were trying to find ways to mitigate the damage on their day-to-day network because of the lack of planes being delivered. Their messaging has remained pretty clear, and that is without access to next-gen aircraft across its either narrow or wide-body sectors, it'll be unable to proceed with growth as intended for at least the next 2 years. Aligning with what many other international airlines have said, they're patiently waiting for 2027. This is when they feel that deliveries should resume at the required rate, as by then manufacturers will have likely navigated most of the supply chain complexities, put that behind them, and are moving forward in a more positive manner. Until then, though, it's just a desperate search for new aircraft and a continued necessity to have open dialogue with manufacturers, probably more than ever, to try and get a better understanding on when their key assets will be arriving. And speaking of supply chain and delays, KLM's first A350 will be arriving not when we initially expected. Aero.de, a trade publication, reporting that according to sources, first delivery will now only occur at the end of 2026. KLM had been planning for the arrival of the 350 sooner rather than later, and if this was to have taken place, it would have had the aircraft enter into scheduled operations around the mid-2026 point. If KLM were able to work to achieve this, an EIS would take place, like I said, in the peak summer flying schedule, which will now not be possible. Instead, the Dutch carrier is planning for a late 2026 arrival at best, as Airbus continues to battle those supply chain constraints, which I've got to say, they're showing signs of improvement, all data pointing towards that, and commentary from Airbus showing that too, but it doesn't just change overnight, and this has been ongoing for 5 years, so to simply say everything is all fine and dandy in 2 months won't be the case, but improvement at least is better than further regression. It is going to take years to really clear the many roadblocks that had been put in place, and for KLM, the acquisition efforts of their A350 is just part of the many roadblocks that do need sorting. In response to this, KLM is retraining its pilots, utilizing a simulator that is at its disposal, which allows crew to really familiarize themselves with the new aircraft in preparation for the delivery of the first unit. Keen to hear your take down below in the comments on today's industry recap. Thank you very much for your support here on the channel. It is certainly appreciated. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you tomorrow.